just check the circle of your friends. The people around you, the more time you spend with them, I don't care who you are, you're going to become like them. We're not talking about acquaintances. We're not talking about friends at work. We're talking about our circle of friends. The friends in your life are shaping the future of your life.
Do you have those people in life that appeal to the worst in you and not the best in you? And whenever they connect with you, they bring you down to where you were before?
Who do you allow to be in your ear? What kind of relationships are you developing? Are they an asset to you or they a liability? Do they elevate your spirits or do they tear you down? We get two types of people, nourishing people and toxic people. Nourishing people, they bring the best out of you. They encourage you, they inspire you, they hold you accountable. Toxic people, they are critical people, always telling you what you can't do. They're always measuring your possibilities based upon their failures. They don't know what's possible for you. My mother said, never let anybody tell you what you can't do, son, especially if they haven't done it. So as you begin to look at yourself, begin to identify the relationships that you communicate with most and say, hey, is this relationship helpful to me? Loyalty has an expiration date. The problem is when you're the nice person, your loyalty lasts far longer to certain people than it should, because their loyalty to you has been expired. But you being a good person, you hang on to friendships and become forgiving far longer than you really should be. Loyalty has an expiration date. Something in front of you, strong enough to give you the courage to let go of the system. I know you're going to get scared and run back every now and then. We already admitted that, but I want you to understand that what God thought about you is truer than what you thought about you. Everything you're going through is preparing you for what you asked God for. You just gotta quit tripping while you're in the process. Because the process is necessary. You may not see it now, but when it gets you on the other side of it, you're gonna see exactly why it went that way. And you're gonna be okay with it.
I must be inclined that it's somebody who's holding back on a decision, holding back on moving forward, and you're holding back because of fear. Fear of being rejected, being replaced, fear of people that you want to accept, you won't accept you. When fear controls you, your decisions become illogical. And it's a problem because God is not the author or the generator of fear.
You need to learn to think, because thinking makes you act effectively in the world. Thinking makes you win the battles you undertake, and those could be battles for good things. If you can think and speak and write, you are absolutely deadly. Nothing can get in your way.
Trying to handle heartbreak, it's so important that we understand there has to be output to our life. Listen to me, if you're broken, don't take a break. Don't let the person who didn't love you stop you from meeting the person who will love you. See, what the enemy wants to do is the enemy wants to isolate you. And the enemy wants you to find some valley, and he wants you to camp out in that valley and say, nobody understands me, and nobody knows how bad my heart is broken, and nobody gets me, and because nobody gets me, I'm going to go and do this thing all on my own. But I have come to remind you that that is a lie from the pit of hell. That is simply a reaction. And if you're ever going to rebuild, it's going to require to share with one another and walk through it together.
I'm going to make it. It's possible. Your dream is possible.
Say that to yourself every day. Feed your mind with words that you write and words that you speak to yourself. Feed your faith, and your doubts will starve to death. It's possible. It's possible. Even when you have no evidence to point to, say to yourself, it's possible. There's nothing as powerful as a made-up mind. It's a struggle sometimes to do that, especially when you have people around you telling you that it's not possible. And they're constantly pointing out your failures of the past, constantly reminding you of all of the things that you don't have going for you.
Trust is reliance, or to rely on God's integrity, to lean and to rely on God's ability. It is a confident expectation of something. Who or what are you leaning on in the midst of hard times, in the midst of lack, in the midst of hurt? Who do you lean on the most?
I cannot tell you to let go of a system and not have something to hold on to. After all, this is all you ever had. This is what I'm familiar with. Even if I'm familiar with something that's killing me and hindering me and dwarfing me and retarding my growth, it's not normal. Even though it's not normal, it's my normal. It's my normal.
There's a battle of two systems here. It's the system of God and it's the system of this world. And you're going to have to choose. And I have chosen the system of God over the system of the world. Anything that's working in the world, it came from God.
I got my new system on Monday and Tuesday. And Tuesday night, I relapsed, and I got my old system. And Wednesday morning, I said, no, we're not going together no more. And I put it down, and I go back, and I get my new system. And then some star scares me, and I go back, and I get my old system. Until finally, I developed the ability to trust my new.
Life seemingly does not wish to waste success on the unprepared. Life says, why waste a fortune on this person? They're not prepared to do the right things with it. They're not prepared to use it wisely. So not only look for fortune, not only look for the promise, but prepare yourself and ask of yourself, what can I do to make myself ready?
Trying to handle heartbreak, it's so important that we understand there has to be output to our life. Don't let the person who didn't love you stop you from meeting the person who will love you. See, what the enemy wants to do is the enemy wants to isolate you. And the enemy wants you to find some valley, and he wants you to camp out in that valley and say, nobody understands me, and nobody gets me, and because nobody gets me, I'm going to go and do this thing all on my own. But I have come to remind you that that is a lie from the pit of hell. That is simply a reaction. And if you're ever going to rebuild, it's going to require to share with one another and walk through it together.
Life was designed not to give us what we want, not to give us what we need, but life was designed to give us what we deserve. It says those that give, receive. Someone says, I wish to receive, I wish to receive. You don't have to concentrate on receive. Just become a good giver. It says those that search will find. Someone says, well, I need to find some good ideas to help change my life for the future. Then to find good ideas, that doesn't come because you need them, because it comes because you search for it.
How many marriages have ended because of social media? Your grandparents that's been married for 30, 40, 50 years did not have social media to contribute to the dysfunction of their marriage. We are growing up in a technology age where
communicating and social networking has went to a whole nother stratosphere. So technically, it became even more challenging to be in a functioning, healthy marriage or relationship.
And I want to walk you down the road until what he thinks about you begins to hit the ground and you become seed to the sower. And people are glad to see you coming because God is going to make bread out of your life. You've been crushed, you've been pressed, you've been pulverized, but God said, I'm going to make you nourishment. I'm going to make you strength to somebody. If he was through with you, you would not wake up in the morning. He's gonna fix it. But now, God can't give you what you want because you want to hold on to what you got. You all in the way. It's a simple process. The only reason I'm telling you this, because this is how I made it. I just do me. I stay uniquely who I am. Because God made you uniquely who you are. He wanted you to be just like you are.
How easy is it to get up in the morning when you know you're not doing all that it takes? It's not very easy at all. You can just lay there awake thinking, oh, what's a few more minutes in bed? It won't matter much anyway. Wrong. It does matter. It will matter. Now, how easy is it to get up in the morning when you're pouring it on, doing the best you can, anxious to get going, make progress toward your dreams? It's a whole different story. When you're resting to renew your reserves, it's much different than resting to avoid your day. When you're psyched up and excited for your life, when you're excited for what you've planned to accomplish for the day, it's amazing you'll wake up before the alarm clock even tries to startle you awake. Your successes fuel your ambition. Your successes give you extra energy. Your successes pave the way for more successes. It's the snowball effect. With one success, you're excited to meet another, and another, and another. And pretty soon, the disciplines that were so difficult in the beginning, the disciplines that got you going, are now part of your philosophy. How do you know when you're successful? Do you have to be a millionaire? No. All we ask of you is that you earn all you possibly can. If you earn $10,000 a year and that's the best you can do, that's enough. God and everything else will see to it that you're okay. The key is to just do the best you can. If it's $10,000 a year, wonderful. If it's $100,000 a year, wonderful. If it's $1 million a year, wonderful. It doesn't matter 10,000 a year or $1 million a year. It doesn't matter as long as you've done the best you possibly can. Earn the most you possibly can. Be the most you possibly can. And here's why. The essence of life is growth. The essence of life is growth, to do the best you can. And here's what's interesting. Humans are the only life form that will do less than they possibly can. Humans are the only life form that will settle for less. Every other life form except human beings strive to its maximum capacity. How tall will a tree grow? Approximately. As tall as it possibly can. You never heard of a tree growing half as high as it could. No, trees don't grow half. Trees send their roots down as deep as possible, stretch their limbs up as high as possible, produce every leaf possible and every fruit possible. As a matter of fact, you never heard of a human physically growing half. We keep growing until we're done. Now that's a of life we can't control.
Find out who you're associating with. If those people add something to you, if they give you something in return, or is it all just a give and take? Meaning, like they just take and you give. That's a bad relationship, man. Get the negative energy out of life. These people that you're around, that always complain and everything else, they're taking part of your soul. You only have so much to give every single day. Why waste it on that, guys? You gotta love yourself in order to love somebody else, guys. You gotta be whole and happy with who you are if you never help somebody else out. People say, oh, it's selfish, just care about yourself. Well, if you need some fixing and reworking, it's not selfish, because you can get yourself better and then be able to really lend a hand in an honest way to somebody, really help them out.
I want you to ask yourself, do I love myself enough to give myself permission to go after what I want? Like, do I love myself enough to exercise this weekend? Do I love myself enough to study that extra hour? Because when you can start saying yes to loving yourself, you start to realize just how far you're able to go. And I wish people knew that the ability to succeed is all inside of you. It's never been hidden. It's just you love yourself enough to let it out. The best version of yourself is so beautiful and so amazing. And yes, people may not accept you all the time and they may hurt you, but I don't want you to keep that in, because you were meant to be a certain type of person, and there's somebody out there in this world who needs to see you for who you are.
Growing of our minds, the expansion of our minds, that we can control. And that's what tends to get away from us. All life forms inherently strive to their max except human beings. Now, why wouldn't human beings strive to their maximum possibility? Here's why. Because we've been given the dignity of choice. It makes us different than alligators and trees and birds. The dignity of choice makes us different than all other life forms. And here's the choice: to become part of what we could be, enough to get by, or to become all that we can be. My best advice for you is to choose the all. Earn all you can, make all the friends you can, read as many books as you can, develop as many skills as you can, see as much as possible, do as much as possible, make as much fortune as possible, give as much of it away as possible. The max, there's no life like it. I'm telling you, once I got on track, I've never looked back. Pick up the challenge. Go for it. Take the best of the two easies. Take the route of it's easy to get ahead. It's easy to do all you can. It's easy to succeed. It's easy to have financial freedom. The more you do, the more you get. So the two primary benefits of positive reinforcement are, number one, to build good habits, and number two, to create more energy, to fuel your ambitions, your desires, your achievements. How can you isolate what's working for you and what isn't? How can you make sure that you are reinforcing your positive disciplines? Well, if it isn't apparent, easy to see right away, if what you're doing is happening in such small increments that you're not sure if you're on track, then you need to be writing it down. You need to keep a journal anyway. But if you really aren't sure that what you're doing is making measurable progress, you need to keep a written record. You need to write down everything that may be relevant in your day. What you did, who you saw, what you felt, how it may or may not affect you now and in the future. The
best way to track your activities of the day is to write them down. The best way to track your activities of the week is to write them down. The best way to analyze your progress through the year is to have written it down. Why? So you can look back on it. Because by keeping a written record of your life, you will be more accountable. By putting into writing the action steps that you have planned, you will easily see what works and what doesn't. Most people just try to get through the day, never writing anything down, never keeping track of their progress along the way, never really knowing if they are doing all they can to reach their goals, to drive their ambition. But gifted people learn to get from the day. They don't let a day end without picking up some valuable experience, some emotional content, some idea that may positively affect their future. To get the most from a day, to learn the most from a day, you need to be able to reflect on the day. And how can you reflect on a day unless you record it in history?
When a caterpillar transforms into a butterfly, gets its wings, it doesn't just have the ability to crawl faster. It comes into a whole new dimension, from crawling to flying. When you get your wings, you're not going to just be better at what you can do right now. God is going to catapult you into a new dimension. Things are going to happen sooner than you thought. You're going to discover gifts, talents, creativity that you didn't know you had. Where you think, where did this come from? You got your wings. That's God taking you places that you could never go on your own. There's going to be a preparation period between the time God puts the dream in your heart and the time that it comes to pass. It's up to us to pass these tests, to be willing to go through the pregnancy, the uncomfortable season when we don't understand. We're doing the right thing, but we're not making progress. This is when many people give up on their dreams. They were anointed, but because they wouldn't go through the preparation process, they never gave birth. They never saw the appointed come.
To every person in this room who's had a struggle, who's had some tests, who's got some creative ideas, but you've gone through some really tough stuff. The stuff you've been through, don't pay it any attention. It is just a sign that the baby is coming. You're on the verge of birthing. You're about to give birth. The baby is coming. The baby is coming. The baby is coming. You don't want to leave me now. The baby is coming.
When you're pregnant, the baby is developing on the inside where nobody can see. In those tough times where you're uncomfortable, you're doing the right thing but the wrong thing is happening, something is developing in you that you can't see. It's getting you prepared. And this is the reason many people never give birth to what's in them. They don't understand the process. God will put a dream in your heart. He'll give you the anointing, then He'll send you back to the shepherd's fields. The appointing will come later.
Anybody who left you is going to miss it. They're going to miss the greatest part of you, the greatest part of your destiny, the greatest part of your creativity. It took everything you went through yesterday to get you ready for what you are about to do today. You are standing on the verge of a great awakening, or you wouldn't be here. If I'm talking to you, make some noise in this place.
You have to think. You can't just feel. You have to think. You know, even when you're taking care of kids, part of what you're doing is being compassionate. But if you're too compassionate towards your kids, then you do everything for them. And if you do everything for them, then they grow up useless and they never leave and they hate you and they hate everything else too. It's a bad idea. Treating your children like they're endless permanent victims is a very bad idea.
Hey the beauty source, today we are going to talk about the power of being different. You will see in a world where everyone is constantly trying to fit in and be like everyone else. It's so important to embrace what makes you unique and stand out from the crowd. So often we are told to blend in, to follow the status quo, to not rock the boat. But let me tell you, true greatness comes from being different. It's all about having the courage to experience yourself authentically without fear of judgment or reaction. Think about some of the most successful people in the world. They did not get to where they are by following the crowd. They go there by embracing their individuality, by daring to be different, and by not being afraid to challenge the norm. So my friends, I want to encourage you to embrace your quirks, your passions, and your unique perspective on the world. Don't be afraid to stand out, to be bold, and to let your light shine brightly. Being different is not always easy. It can be scary to be against the grain, to be the odd one out, to swim against the current. But trust me when I say that it's not worth it. The world needs your uniqueness and your creativity and your voice. When you dare to be different and you inspire others to do the same, you give them permission to embrace their own individuality and they celebrate with what makes them special. And that, my friends, is how we create a world that it is with diversity and full of vibrant, authentic souls. So if you are feeling like you don't quite fit it in, if you are tired of trying to conform to what everyone else expects of you, I want you to know that it's okay. In fact, it's more than okay. It's amazing. Embrace your difference, celebrate them, and let them be your superpower. Remember, being different doesn't mean being alone. There is a whole community to beautiful souls out there who are just waiting to connect with you. So to celebrate your uniqueness and to work alongside you on this incredible journey. So go ahead, my friends. Be different. Be whole. Be unapologetically yourself. The world needs instantly who you are, and together we can create a world that celebrates diversity, individuality, and the power of being beautifully different. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching, and remember, always dare to be different. See you in the next video.